In the US alone, men die by suicide 3.9 times more often than women. In the UK, 75% of all suicides are men. Have you ever wondered why the men in your life, your father, your brother, your partner, your friends, so rarely talk about their pain? It's a silent crisis happening right in front of us, every single day. Welcome to the Brain Talk Sessions YouTube channel. Your journey to a healthier mind starts here, where we share psychology explained for everyday life. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most overlooked issues of our time, the silent crisis of men's mental health. This isn't just about statistics, it's about the invisible suffering that millions of men endure behind a mask of strength. They're at work, at the gym, with family, often surrounded by people, yet profoundly alone. We're going to explore the deep-seated reasons why men don't talk about their pain and what we can do to change that. This is a story of silence, but more importantly, it's a story of hope. So, where does this silence begin? It starts with the cultural definition of masculinity. From a young age, boys are handed an unwritten rulebook: be strong. Don't cry. Tough it out. These aren't just phrases, they are the building blocks of an emotional fortress. In the world of cultural psychology, we see how boys learn to suppress emotions not as a choice, but as a survival strategy. Crying gets you teased on the playground, and showing fear is seen as a weakness. So, you learn to put it all away, to perform a role of unwavering toughness. This isn't unique to one country. While the expressions differ, the core belief is universal: vulnerability equals weakness. In the United States, it's the rugged individual, the self-reliant man who needs no one. In the UK, it's the stiff upper lip, the quiet emotional restraint that's seen as a virtue. In Australia, it's the blokey culture, where humor and denial are the preferred tools to deflect any serious emotional conversation. And in Canada, a culture of politeness can often mask deep-seated stress. The social norms we grow up with, not our biology, are the primary drivers of this silence. The goal isn't to blame culture, but to understand it, to see how these invisible scripts shape the men we know and love, contrasting their outward strength with the immense pressure they feel inside. When a man consistently pushes his feelings down, what happens inside his mind and body? This is where we dive into the psychology behind male emotional suppression. It's not a harmless habit, it's a chronic condition with serious consequences. When emotions are repeatedly ignored, they don't just disappear. They fester, transforming into anxiety, burnout, irritability, and a profound sense of numbness. This leads to a fascinating and prevalent condition known as alexithymia, a difficulty in identifying and describing one's own emotions. It's not that men don't feel, it's that they often lack the emotional vocabulary to understand or articulate what's happening inside them. From a neuroscience perspective, this suppression keeps the body in a constant state of high alert. Unprocessed stress leads to a steady release of hormones like cortisol, which, over time, can actually amplify emotional numbness and fatigue. Instead of saying, "I'm sad" or "I'm scared," men often externalize their pain. This looks like sudden bursts of anger, a reliance on alcohol or substances to numb the feelings, burying themselves in work, or seeking adrenaline-fueled risks. Think of it like this: bottling emotions is like shaking a soda can. The pressure has to go somewhere, and eventually, it will find a way out, often in explosive and destructive ways. Even when a man recognizes he's struggling, there's a huge barrier to getting help: stigma. The core question is, why don't more men go to therapy? The answer often lies in a deep-seated fear of judgment. There's a fear of being seen as weak by family and friends, a fear of losing respect at work, and a fear of professional consequences. Modern work culture, especially, values high performance, unwavering confidence, and emotional control. Admitting you're struggling with depression or anxiety can feel like a career-ending move. This is particularly true in high-risk professions with hypermasculine norms, like the military, construction, policing, and finance. In these environments, admitting vulnerability can feel like putting a target on your back. We hear it in the real-life stories of men who say things like, "If I told my boss I was depressed, I'd lose my promotion," or "my buddies would never look at me the same way." The fear is real and tangible. It's not an excuse, it's a powerful social force that keeps men isolated. Our goal isn't to accuse, but to build empathy for why the simple act of asking for help can feel so dangerous. The consequences of this silence are devastating: creating an emotional domino effect that can destroy lives. It often begins with suppression, the conscious decision to ignore emotional pain. This leads to isolation, as the man pulls away from others to hide his struggle. From there, self-medication often follows, whether through alcohol, drugs, or other compulsive behaviors, as a desperate attempt to cope. Finally, this path can lead to a full-blown crisis, culminating in severe depression, self-harm, or suicide. What's truly tragic is how loneliness becomes normalized in this process. A man can feel completely alone even when surrounded by a loving family. This profound sense of disconnection fuels the cycle, making it harder and harder to break free. The social cost is immense. Families lose fathers, partners, and sons. Communities lose friends, colleagues, and mentors. When we hear that 75% of all suicides in the UK are men, we're not just hearing a number. We're hearing the stories of a veteran who couldn't escape the ghosts of his past, a father who felt he was failing his family, and a young entrepreneur crushed by the weight of expectation. These are human faces, and their stories show us the true, urgent cost of silence. One of the biggest challenges in addressing men's mental health is that their struggles often don't look like our classic idea of sadness. Recognizing the signs requires a different lens. Men's depression frequently manifests as irritability or anger. It can look like withdrawal, as he spends more time alone or stops engaging with hobbies he once loved. It can manifest as overworking, using his job as a place to hide from his feelings, or as unexplained physical ailments like headaches and stomach issues. Another common sign is risk-taking, sudden reckless driving, gambling, or substance abuse. It's a way of feeling something when everything else feels numb. A man might also use logic or humor as a defense mechanism, deflecting any serious conversation with a joke or a rationalization. This is why it's so crucial to pay attention to changes in behavior, not just words. The man who is always fine might be the one struggling the most. This is a call to action for all of us. Check on your strong friends. Look beyond the surface, ask twice, and create a safe space for them to be honest without fear of judgment. True compassion starts with vigilant awareness. But this story is not without hope. The path to healing and connection is real, and it begins with one courageous step: breaking the silence. Healing isn't a sign of weakness, it's an act of profound strength. It starts with connection, first, with oneself, by acknowledging the pain, and then with others. The solutions are often simpler than we think. It could be talking to a trusted friend, a mentor, or a family member. It could mean joining a men's group or a faith community where open conversation is encouraged. For many, professional help from a therapist provides the tools and safe space needed to unpack years of suppressed emotion. Physical activity and mindfulness practices are also powerful tools. Exercise is a proven way to combat depression and anxiety, while mindfulness can help men reconnect with their bodies and identify their feelings without judgment. We're also seeing a powerful shift with role models, athletes, veterans, and public figures, openly discussing their mental health battles. Their courage shows other men that it's okay not to be okay. Psychologically, emotional expression is a healing act. It literally rewires the brain, building new neural pathways for resilience and connection. The message is clear: action, not pity, is the path forward. To create lasting change, we have to look at the bigger picture, the role of society and media in shaping our perceptions of manhood. For decades, movies, television, and advertisements have glorified the stoic, aggressive, and hyper-successful man, while rarely showing vulnerability as a strength. This constant stream of imagery reinforces the old, damaging stereotypes. But thankfully, the tide is beginning to turn. We see a positive shift when public figures like Prince Harry or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson speak openly about therapy and their mental health. We see it when elite athletes talk about the pressures of performance and their struggles with anxiety. This change is also happening at an institutional level. More companies and governments are implementing mental health programs specifically designed for men, recognizing that one-size-fits-all solutions don't work. These campaigns are slowly normalizing the idea that true strength includes self-care and emotional honesty. By contrasting old media stereotypes with these new, authentic portrayals of manhood, we can collectively work to dismantle the stigma and build a culture where vulnerability is celebrated, not shamed. This brings us to the philosophical core of our message: redefining strength and manhood for the 21st century. For too long, strength has been equated with emotional silence. But real strength is emotional courage. It's the courage to be vulnerable, to admit you're not okay, and to ask for help. It's the courage to face your inner demons instead of running from them. As Brené Brown famously said, vulnerability is not weakness, it's our most accurate measure of courage. We need to redefine what it means to be a protector. A man who protects his family and community must also learn to protect his own emotional well-being. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It's time to change the narrative. We need to encourage men to express their emotions openly and honestly, to support each other without judgment, and to redefine the phrase, man up. Man up should no longer mean, shut up and deal with it. It should mean, speak up, show up, and get the help you need. True manhood is not about being invincible, it's about being resilient, and resilience is born from authenticity. In conclusion, the message is simple but profound: silence kills, but honesty heals. This crisis has been ignored for far too long, shrouded in outdated ideas of what it means to be a man. But by understanding its roots in culture, psychology, and social stigma, we can begin to break the cycle. To every man watching this who has been suffering in silence, please hear this: you are not alone. You are not broken. You are human. And it is human to feel, to hurt, and to need connection. Your journey to a healthier mind is a journey worth taking. If this video resonated with you, please share it. Spreading this awareness can create ripples of change, spark a conversation, and it might just save a life. Thank you for joining us on the Brain Talk sessions. Remember, your journey to a healthier mind starts here.